everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Marvel Legends 6-inch The Raft box set from Hasbro. Now, first thing I just want to say is the packaging, the box for this thing is huge. It's the biggest box I think I've ever seen for a Marvel Legends. And this thing measures about 30 inches, a little over 30 inches in length. And then for height, it's about 9.5. And then for the length, or the width, it's about 7 inches. So again, this thing is huge. And while it's pretty cool looking and very elaborate, I gotta say that I think sometimes the designers don't really think about the convenience of these things. You know, as a Comic-Con exclusive, it means most people are gonna have to sit there and lug that thing around in the convention hall, and that can be a pain in the butt. So the front of it is made to look like the Raft, which is one of the prisons in the Marvel Universe. And so you can see the cells, and we've got our prisoners. We've got the Abomination, Enchantress, Dreadknight, Purple Man, and Sandman. And then we have SpiderMan crawling around the top here for some reason, and he's kind of checking things out. The top of the packaging is actually a window box, so you can kind of look into the cells from the top. And then there's not really much on the side, but on the back you have a little brief bio in multiple languages, and then we have these little mug shots for each of the prisoners with bios. And then those of you who like to keep your figures in the packaging, you can actually open this up so it attaches on the side with little Velcro strips. And you can actually see there's Velcro tabs on the outside of the box as well. And so what you do is you just lift this up. And so now it reveals the inside of the prison. And then what you can do is you can take these little Velcro tabs and attach it to the sides of the box, so that this flap basically stays up, and then you've got your inside of the prison. So you already have some escaped prisoners up here at the top. You've got Electro, Eel, and Hobgoblin. All coincidentally are figures that have been recently released. And then down below you can see the prisoners are getting out of their cells, and you've got Spider-Man there trying to stop them. So again, it's a pretty elaborate and cool looking setup that they've done. And if you like to display your figures in the packaging, I do like how they've done this. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside the packaging. Now I just want to point out that if you want, you can remove the cardboard insert inside the box and kind of use it as a makeshift prison or as a backdrop as a prison. It is just cardboard, but you know, again, they've made it so you can remove it out of the box and it'll stand and everything, so you can put your figures inside it if you want to. So originally I was going to do each of these figures as an individual review, but then I decided that basically all the figures in this set heavily recycle figures previously released, some of which were just recently released and have done reviews of already. So I decided I'm just going to do one review for the whole set, and I'm not going to do a full entailed review. Like, I'm not going to go over the articulation on each figure, because again, they're exactly the same as the figures are basically based on. So you can see here that the Abomination figure is just a repainted version of the Abomination figure from the new wave of Captain America Legends that we reviewed, and I reviewed that figure like a week ago. And then Scarlet Witch, or I should say Enchantress, is just a reuse of the Scarlet Witch mold. The Dreadknight figure is a reuse of the Hobgoblin mold. Purple Man's a reuse of the Chameleon mold. Sandman's a reuse of the Absorbing Man Build-A-Figure mold. And then Spider-Man is a reuse of the Pizza-Eating Spider-Man. We'll go over each figure and kind of point out some differences between its reused counterpart. So with Enchantress, she comes with these magic accessories, and these are the same ones that came with the Scarlet Witch, only they're now done with a darker kind of translucent green plastic, and you get 2 of them. And then, as I said, the figure is a reuse of the Scarlet Witch. It's got this added skirt piece and doesn't have the cape, obviously. The heads are different, but everything else is the same between these figures. Legs, feet, hands, arms, and torso section are all exactly the same. And has those heels, so this figure is very hard to keep standing, so just be wary of that. Overall, though, I think it works well. You know, this mold works pretty well with this figure. I like the way the hair is sculpted. It's really doesn't have any, actually it does have a little bit of wash work in it, so it's not just a straight color. And then again, she's got some green eyeliner over her eyes, so that's a nice touch, and she's got the red lipstick. So again, you know, even though it is just a reuse of the Scarlet Witch, I think it works pretty well. Now I will point out on mine, on my Enchantress, the knee is definitely has that kind of gummy joint syndrome, and so this knee is kind of warped out of shape a little bit, so that's kind of a pain. SpiderMan here is a reuse of the pizza-eating SpiderMan, same mold. You get the same kinds of hands. You get the closed-fisted and the web-shooting hand. Now the colors are darker on this one. The blue is definitely darker, and even the red is a little bit darker, and then the way they painted the spider on the chest is different between the two figures. And then they have given this figure a different head sculpt. It's not the same head sculpt as the pizza-eating SpiderMan. Most notably, the eyes are wider on this one, and originally I thought they were just painted on there, but I think they're actually sculpted on there. Now I haven't looked at any other Spider-Man, recently released Spider-Man figures to see if this is a head from one of those, but it's definitely not from the pizza-eating Spider-Man. And some of you, I've seen you kind of bill this as a McFarlane Spider-Man with the wider eyes and everything. But everything else about this figure is exactly the same. You've got the hole on the back, same kind of design. Actually, the design of the spiders are a little bit different on the back. It's a little, the legs are a little thinner on this one. You still have the pins that are unpainted, like you always see with Spider-Man figures. So again, everything else about this figure is the same as the pizza-eating Spider-Man, and it's a good, you know, it's a good mold for Spider-Man, so I don't have any real complaints with that. Sandman here is essentially kind of a build-a-figure. It is a reuse of the Absorbing Man build-a-figure. Same arm, same legs, same torso. The head obviously is different, but that's pretty much it. You even got the same belt, except it's been painted brown. The pants are a light brown color. The shoes are brown. And then the upper torso, there's no texturing. There's no sand texturing on it, unfortunately. And you still got the little veins and stuff, even though he's supposed to be in a sand form. And for the head sculpt, I do like the texturing of the hair. I think they did a good job with that. He's got kind of a grimace. You know, he looks like he's missing a tooth. Not sure why in sand form he has teeth, but it probably does in the comics, so no real big deal. And he's got the white eyes. So the head sculpt's pretty good. And I mean, this is an okay, you know, Sandman. It's the size is decent and everything. However, I wouldn't say it's as good as the old Toy Biz one. Toy Biz one has just more texturing and everything on it, like here on the sand parts. It would have been nice if they had been able to do that on this version. And obviously, this is more of his human form than sand form with this Toy Biz one. But again, I just kind of like, it would have been nice if they had somehow given him that sand texture for added detail. Now, I'm guessing if you've been watching the San Diego Comic-Con news from this past week, we saw a new wave of Spider-Man figures. They did not announce the Build-A-Figure, but I'm guessing it's going to be this figure only repainted in his, you know, to look like his human form. So Purple Man, aka Kilgrave, is just a reuse of the Chameleon figure. Everything's the same except for the head. The hands have been painted purple and the neck's been painted purple along with the head sculpt, but everything else is exactly the same. The shirt's red instead of black, and the tie is black instead of that lighter color, and then the jacket and the pants and everything are purple. Shoes are still black, but sculpting wise it's all the same. I do like the head sculpt. I like the way it looks. I like the way the hair is sculpted. The hair is just straight black, and then I like how his eyes kind of stand out on the face. Abomination, as I mentioned before, is the exact same figure as this one we just got in the new Captain America Marvel Legends wave, only with different paint applications. Basically, the greens are darker. You don't have that lighter green color on his midsection. His trunks are a darker color, but everything else is the same. Even the head sculpt is pretty much the same, I believe. Yes, it is the same head sculpt, just different paint on the teeth and stuff, and the eyes are gold metallic instead of the silver metallic. So you got the ears, which are done with that kind of rubber material, and my ears got a little bent on my figure, coming out of the packaging, so you might have to take a hairdryer or something if you want to get that to kind of stick out more. But again, you still got that little line, that little seam over his eyes, like I pointed out in the review for the other one, which I don't really like. But otherwise, I think it's a good head sculpt, and I do kind of like these darker colors more than on the other figure, so I do think the look of this one is a little better than the other one. Now, Dreadknight is the final figure in this set, and this one is probably the most different. It does borrow pretty much from the Hobgoblin figure that came in the more recent Spider-Man Legends wave, but it does have differences as far as the hands are different, the feet are different, the belt piece with this tunic that comes down is different. This is actually from the Baron Zemo figure in the Captain America Winter Soldier line. Same with the sword. He comes with the sword, and it's the same sword Zemo comes with. I do like the paint detail on this sword. I think this looks nice. It's got the black handle, but then it's got a kind of a darker metallic metal color to it. So I do like how the sword looks on this figure. And it's got a little place where you can store the sword, just like with the Baron Zemo figure. And then the head sculpt's different. It's got the cape. The cape's removable. It's a different cape, obviously, than what came with the Hobgoblin, but works the same way. Plugs into the little hole in the back. And then the head, head's pretty good. The ears are, again, that kind of soft plastic, so my ear on this side has gotten bent in the packaging. So again, you probably would, if you have that problem, will need to take something like a hairdryer to straighten that out. But otherwise, I think it's pretty good. Got a little bit of that marbleization effect going on the top of his head here, but it doesn't look too bad. He's got the red eyes with some black around it. Dreadknight also comes with this lance accessory, same kind of coloring with as the sword, so I think the detailing on it's good. I don't think this is reused from another figure. If it is, I haven't placed it. I can't think of any other figure that would have come with a lance, but it's got these little things that stick out. I don't know a whole lot about Dreadknight. I recall him being kind of a B-lister villain for Iron Man, and I think he used to ride around on one of those iron steeds. And I looked at, Toy Biz did one of those back in the day, and I looked for one to see if I could find it for the figure, but I couldn't find it. I think it originally came with the Toy Biz Hawkeye figure. But if I recall correctly, he used to ride around on one too. And maybe he's fought in Black Knight. I'm not sure. He seems like a character fit to take on Black Knight with the sword and the lance and everything. But again, I think this lance is unique to this figure at this point. Okay, so that's my review. So as I mentioned before, I'm not going to do things like articulation and size comparisons, mainly because if you've looked at the reviews for the figures these ones borrow on, or you have them yourselves, you know what to expect in that regard. Also, Shartimus Prime will be doing his own review of this set here soon, so he'll probably go over that stuff. But as it is, I think this is an okay set. On its own merit, I think it's a decent set. You're definitely getting your money's worth. You get 2 Build-A-Figures essentially, and essentially, it's cost $120, which comes out to $20 each per figure. So, from that regard, you're definitely getting your money's worth. If you already have the other Abomination that just recently came out, then I do like the darker colors on this one, but I wouldn't say it's worth needing another one for. And then the Spider-Man, same thing. If you have the pizza-eating Spider-Man, there's not enough difference between this one and that one that really makes it worth it. I do kind of like the whiter eyes and everything, but again, if you already have the pizza-eating Spider-Man, there's nothing here that really makes it worth needing. The Sandman figure out of the others is probably the most disappointing, just because I don't like not having that sand texture. It looks too plain to me. I do like the head sculpt on it. I like the sculpting of the hair, but it would have been nice if they just added some type of texturing on the body to give it some more detail. The Purple Man, I like the face sculpt. Again, it's just the chameleon bodies, but not a big deal. Same with Dreadknight. I think even though he's kind of a B-lister character, I think it works well. The Hobgoblin body works well, and so I think that's a good figure. And then the Enchantress figure, again, borrows on the Scarlet Witch figure, but I think it works well, and it's definitely a character that that I'm glad to add to my collection. Now, will they release her on her own? Maybe. Hasbro did hint at San Diego Comic-Con about a Thor movie line, which I'm sure will consist of comic book based characters as well. So Hasbro, I certainly, if they can find a way, will use this mold again and release her, or maybe even use a different mold. I don't know. But as it is, like I said, that's probably the one in the set most people are going to want to get it for. So this was sold at San Diego Comic-Con, obviously, which is come and gone, but it is supposed to go up here soon on Hasbro Toy Shop. I don't know exactly when, and I don't even know if Hasbro will give us a heads up when it does, or if they'll just stick them up there. So honestly, you probably just want to start checking the site periodically until they go up for sale if you want to try and pick this one up. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook and or Twitter pages. I'll have links to the video description below. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.